All right, guys, massive week when it comes down to what happened in Japan with the Nintendo Switch 2 because they've had their biggest sales week since the launch of the system, beating out the Pokemon Legends ZA launch back in October. But then also, there is a major milestone as well with the Nintendo Switch 2 crossing 3 million units sold overall in Japan. So we're going to get the breakdown from that, in addition to some awesome surprise, or more like a surprise Nintendo GameCube release that's available right now on the Nintendo Switch 2 NSO, in addition to some RPG updates, some game updates for Switch 2. So it's going to be a packed video. Let's go ahead and jump right into it though, because we do have the launch numbers as well for Octopath Traveler 0, Metroid Prime 4, Beyond, and of course, once again, that huge sales week in Japan for the Nintendo Switch 2. So the Famitsu sales here, it covers from December 1st, 2025 through December 7th, 2025, and a number of notable games like I talked about. Of course, big week for the Nintendo Switch 2. Remember though, when it comes to the sales here, it's only physical. It doesn't count the digital sales. Digital sales are pretty big everywhere for the most part. I know there's maybe about a 20 to 30% sales ratio from physical to digital in Japan. So just keep that in mind as well. So Octopath Traveler 0, best-selling new release for the week. It sold a total of 59,314 units overall. And Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, not a great seller when it comes to the Japanese sales. It's doing okay worldwide, tracked on anything that I can when it comes to the US, and okay in Europe, and of course digital, #1 on the Nintendo Switch 2 eShop. But in Japan, Metroid Prime's never been a big seller. That only sold 21,415 units. But the big news here, I think that's the most interesting thing to me at least, is the Nintendo Switch 2 hardware sales, as Nintendo is finally starting to ramp up. Not even finally, they've been doing a better job with it. But the Switch 2 shipments to Japan have been ramping up considerably overall. So we've got 203,398 units sold for the past week. That is the largest singular week since launch overall, which is pretty impressive because they've had some 100,000 unit weeks here and there. They had a 201,000 unit week when it comes to Pokemon Legends ZA right around that time, and now we've got 203,398 units. That is, once again, biggest since the launch, which they had a pretty big and substantial launch as well. So Nintendo Switch 2 continues to be a really fast seller in Japan, and I think it's just going to pretty much dominate the whole generation there in that country. I think that when it comes to the West, obviously Nintendo has to have the Mario and Zelda. That's coming up at some point, and I think that Super Smash Brothers, Animal Crossing, all these type of games that are going to come out over the next number of years, those are going to help accelerate sales in different regions as well. But for right now, the system's selling good, and I think that that is definitely a good thing for the people that have the system, because the more the system sells, the better and more games you'll probably get overall. Now, better, that's obviously subjective, but you're going to get more games. If a system doesn't do well, you're going to get less games, especially for Nintendo's hardware. When it comes to Microsoft and Sony, I don't think Microsoft necessarily has to do as much because they make a system that's very similar architecture-wise to Sony, x86, same type of thing. So a lot of the times it's an easier port, but with Nintendo, you have an ARM, you have DLSS, you have all these different type of technologies that make development a little bit different. So Nintendo needs to show that they can actually sell the system in order to get that type of support. And it's the reason why the Wii U, for example, did not get a ton of support. 3DS did not get as much support as you'd like to see from Western developers. But the Nintendo Switch 2, that's actually getting way more support than what we saw early with the Nintendo Switch 1, because they know that the Nintendo Switch 2 is going to sell well. They know there's going to be a base of people buying the system. And it took a while for the Nintendo Switch 1, when it comes to Western developers, port over some of their older 360 titles and things like that. So this is absolutely a good thing overall that the Nintendo Switch 2 is doing so well, especially for players like myself, and I think a lot of you guys, we like Japanese titles. So the Nintendo Switch 2 doing so well in Japan definitely guarantees that most of the Japanese developers are going to put out games on the Nintendo Switch 2, and they're going to be very cognizant of those games launching day and date, as we've seen with Square Enix when it comes to major Final Fantasy, which Nintendo hasn't had major Final Fantasy on their platform like day and date or anywhere in the same amount of time as PlayStation, or at all since the Super Nintendo era. It's been that long, and Square Enix is already committed to having Final Fantasy VII Rebirth in addition to Remake Part 3 on the Nintendo Switch 2. So pretty cool there. I also want to note here too, with the top 10 software sales overall, Mario Kart World still killing it, did over 102,000 units for the past week, so pretty big week for Mario Kart World. People are still buying and playing that game. Kirby Air Riders also having a really good hold at the top of the charts, which I knew that it would do well in Japan, considering it's Sakurai and Japan loves Kirby. But yeah, Kirby Air Riders, another 46,737 units as well. Pokemon Legends ZA was going to be a long time kind of like evergreen burn till the next Pokemon game comes out at this point, because we are multiple months out now, and Pokemon Legends ZA in at number 3 on the Nintendo Switch 2 with 44,000 units plus, then in at number 4 again on the Nintendo Switch 1 with 40,000 units plus for 84,000 units, not including digital. So not bad as well for Pokemon Legends ZA. We talked about Octopath Traveler 0. Top unit sold in terms of platform for that was the Nintendo Switch 1 with 21,000 units overall. And then after that, the PS5 and the Nintendo Switch 2 versions both came in at 19,000 and 18,000 respectively. So not a bad top 10. We're starting to see more Nintendo Switch 2 games kind of populated as things get going for the platform. But overall, pretty cool to see 3 million units sold plus for the Nintendo Switch 2. I want to talk about that just a little bit more because we do have the breakdown here. 3,171,833 units overall. And I also have to give a little bit of a shout out here for the Nintendo Switch 1 that sold over 51,000 units for the past week in Japan as well. So between Switch 1 and Switch 2, pretty good, 250,000 units plus for the past week as things head into the Christmas period overall in Japan and of course worldwide. I expect Nintendo Switch 2 to continue to do well. Not saying that it's going to sell the most or outsell everything, and it doesn't have to. It just needs to do good so we can continue getting great games, and of course Nintendo can continue supporting the business and their employees and all of that good stuff. But yeah, Switch 2, man, 3 million units plus already in about 6 months on the market in Japan. I expect there to be a huge explosion next year as well, as we're probably going to get a lot more big titles that they're going to have some extra units shipped in, especially when Pokemon the new gen comes out. I mean, that's going to be a phenomenon in Japan on the Nintendo Switch 2. So we'll see how Nintendo can respond with units there as well heading into next year. So what do you guys think about this overall when it comes to the sales? Let me know in the comment section below. But before we move on to the next topic, please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, and click that notification bell to get my videos as soon as they drop. All right, we got to talk about this just briefly, and that's Nintendo GameCube Nintendo Classics. It adds a classic from the GameCube era, of course, Wario World, and we did not see this one coming at all. Nintendo just kind of hit us with this randomly. So Wario World is now available via the Nintendo GameCube Nintendo Classics app for the Switch 2. Nintendo has announced. So are you ready to rumble with Wario? You better be ready, punk. Some evil jewel transformed all of my treasure into monsters, and now I gotta go to this weird world and beat it out of them. There are plenty of goons waiting for a shot at old Wario, but don't worry about me, baby. I'm ready to brawl. I'll be throwing punches, charging through crowds, and pal driving ugly mugs right and left. What you gotta worry about is keeping me alive. Can you handle that? Or do I have to give you a knuckle sandwich too? This is straight up out of like, I don't know, like the 80s at this point. 80s or 90s, even though this game came out in 2003. This is a GameCube game, but I love the dialogue here. And the trailer that they did was so kind of epic and crazy with the music and all of that. It was very funny to randomly just see this game drop. And I would love to see Nintendo do that more often, considering there's so many GameCube games out there. If like once a month we can just get a random drop of a great game like Wario World, or a good game even, I think that would make people a lot more happy with the service overall and could also help get more people in. And so hopefully Nintendo does this more often, which they're probably not going to, but I hope that they actually do. We also got Rayman 2 and another N64 platformer that are dropping next week. So between the N64 drop and this one, not a bad month overall for the NSO when it comes to Nintendo Classics. But yeah, I hope that they can actually get more GameCube games out at a faster cadence and pace. And of course, just random drops like this are definitely appreciated, as I saw a number of people in my friends list hop on to the Nintendo Classics, and I'm like, what's going on here? And then I checked on my phone and I'm like, oh, okay, that's what's going on here. Like Wario World just dropped out of nowhere. So yeah, what do you guys think about it? Let me know in the comment section below. But now we are going to move on to another big RPG gameplay trailer because we've got Dragon Quest VII Reimagined. We got the new character trailer for Icy, and she is a young roamer determined to restore the Almighty. So Square Enix has released the 5th character trailer for Dragon Quest VII Reimagined, introducing Icy, a young roamer woman devoted to the Earth Spirit, determined to restore the Almighty. Skilled in swordsmanship, she is also gifted with a natural talent for dance. Now, Dragon Quest VII Reimagined is due out for the PS5, Xbox Series, Switch 2, Switch 1, and PC via Steam, and the Microsoft Store on February 5th, 2026, and the game is looking incredible. One of the things that I love about this game is the art style, and Square Enix did state that they actually used like real life-size dolls, like really nice crafted dolls to model and craft and 3D scan and put into the game to model the characters after, and I think that gives it a very unique look of a game, especially coming from a PS1/Nintendo 3DS or DS game that this was remade from, and you can just tell it's a completely different graphical style. Still the same basis when it comes to the game than what we got before, and they've definitely tweaked, added, and subtracted some things here and there, but I'm not somebody who played Dragon Quest VII like crazy or anything like that. I started playing them really with Dragon Quest VIII, and then I started playing some of the remakes, and I started playing some of the re-releases of the old school games, Dragon Quest 1 through 3. So to see this kind of come back in this type of way and look so beautiful with this distinct art style is awesome. So I'm definitely going to be picking this one up on the Nintendo Switch 2 and playing through it because it looks like a really cool traditional JRPG brought back with a new coat of paint, looking better than ever. So what do you guys think about this new character trailer, and of course Dragon Quest VII itself? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, and moving on to the final topic here, we've got a pretty interesting trailer and new game reveal, and it's called R-Type Dimensions 3, and we've got a reveal for Xbox Series, Switch 2, Switch 1, PC, PS5. So it's a shoot 'em up R-Type Dimensions, which R-Type was a big name back in the day. Then it kind of went away for a while, but now it's kind of back. It's R-Type Dimensions 3 at this point, developed by NN Games, Tozai with the license here, and it's coming in May 2026. So R-Type is the cornerstone of video game history, and working with Tozai to reimagine these classics at this scale has been an extraordinary honor, said NN Games publishing producer Felix Wagner in a press release. Dimensions 3 is our most ambitious restoration and modernization project yet, created for longtime fans and newcomers discovering R-Type for the first time. So here's a bit more about the game. R-Type Dimensions 3 is a major new milestone in one of gaming's most iconic shoot-'em-up series, developed in close cooperation with Tozai and Irem, the licensed owner and the original creator of R-Type. This new project represents one of the most ambitious and significant undertakings in NN's history. Building on the legacy of R-Type Dimensions and R-Type Dimensions EX, R-Type Dimensions 3 has been completely re-envisioned with cutting-edge visuals and sound and expanded gameplay modes to deliver the most definitive modern edition of R-Type's classic era. This is a landmark project for NN Games. As one of NN's most extensive projects to date, R-Type Dimensions 3 emphasizes precision craftsmanship, technical ambition, and deep respect for one of gaming's most influential arcade properties. A complete modern rebuild of the arcade legend, R-Type Dimensions 3 brings the intensity, precision, and creative enemy design of the arcade originals to a new generation. Every stage, boss, and projectile pattern has been rebuilt with high-end 3D graphics, enhanced animations, and richly detailed environments, whilst providing the instantly recognizable atmosphere that defined R-Type's identity. The same applies to the original music and sound effects. With enormous effort, everything has been rebuilt so that players can switch seamlessly between the original and the new R-Type 3 at any time, offering both nostalgic authenticity and a striking modern representation. So there's going to be some limited editions as well, a limited or more like special edition and a collector's edition. You guys are checking out the trailer here, and yeah, it looks pretty cool. Like, I played R-Type back in the day. I remember renting it, and those were all like the rage back then, like the shoot 'em up games. I remember playing like Gradius, however you say it. I remember playing a lot of different shoot 'em up games, and R-Type was one of them that I did play back then. And this one actually looks really cool. They did take the time really to model this game, and looks great when it comes to the graphics and all that. So I'll definitely be checking it out on the Switch 2 at some point as well, because it just looks like they did a great job with it. I was into old school shoot 'em ups before, but I'm definitely interested in getting back into it overall based off of this trailer here. So what do you guys think about R-Type Dimensions 3? in addition to everything else that we talked about here, let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other Nintendo Switch 2 RPG content and more right here on screen. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.